Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines. And last time out, we built this mixed-use industrial area with our waste processing, garbage, sewage, but also this big media broadcasting area. And you guys have been coming up with some great name suggestions for this, so I will be putting a poll on the channel to let you guys decide the name for this area. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty nice. We probably need some more news crews in there somewhere, don't we? But for today, we're going to turn our attention to this big hole here because we're actually getting to a point where we're almost done with the main city of Auridon. Like, there's a few little gaps that we've left that we do need to come in and fill, but there is this one big area here that I would like to do something really special with. So the plan for today is to build out a big construction site in this area. So we're going to make it look like they're building a big expo centre or a new shopping mall or something like that right on the waterfront. With a few functional buildings that maybe look a little bit older and run down. That's what we're going to try and do. But we'll get some nice tiering and layers of height in here because the terrain is pretty slopey going down towards the coast. So I'm going to do some really nice key work to get some layers in here, but all the while trying to make sure that it looks half under construction. There's going to be a lot of prop detailing in this. In fact, a lot of detailing, full stop. So let's dive into the build. Okay, so I'm going to start by placing in some roads here, and I think we're just going to take the bog standard vanilla road for a second for this, and we can always upgrade it later. I have already, you'll notice, done some terraforming here, so I've just flattened out this area because nicely this junction here and this junction here are pretty much the same terrain height. You can get a nice road flowing across the top of this top section here. Then just terraformed off like a few different kind of platform layers because that's how I want it to be. I want it to be a sort of tiered waterfront like that with various different construction, buildings under construction and old buildings in there as well. So we'll start by just coming out of this junction. Then what I'd like to do is kind of get this to go down onto the next tier. So we're just going to slope it like that. And thankfully it is nicely sloped on the terrain, which is absolutely what we want to see there. And then we're going to bring out this road straight. Now, we may need to do a little bit of extra terraforming for this to get this in. I think we've come a little bit too far potentially with this road, so we may need to adjust it back. But the first building I do want to put in, which is a complete building, I'm going to try at least and make it look a little bit older than it actually does, which is the Aquarium, which is not a building we have used in Auridon yet. It's not one of my favourites, I must admit, but it's very big and kind of bulky, and I think it will fit this area quite well once I show you how we're going to integrate it in just a second. So I'm just going to pull this road back, so this is like in line with the bottom of the aquarium here. Have a little bit of breathing room I think there, but not too much. Just bring that forward just a touch. So let's make sure that these are all on the same height. We'll bring that down like that, and then we will need to do a little bit of sloping here. So let's just do that with move it nice and quick. And yeah, still a reasonable gradient, so I'm quite happy with how that is coming in. And there's really great opportunities to do some nice key work down these slopey roads as well between these tiers. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this turns out in the end. I have done a rough test build of it, but you never know till you actually do it. Now, so with the aquarium, we are going to use repaint to try and give it a bit of an old effect. So I'm kind of going to take this as this was the original building that has always sat here. So yeah, we're just going to repaint it like that because what I want it to look like is that it's the original building that sat in this area, but it's been a little bit weathered over the time. So I kind of like how these metal aisles look a little bit rusted almost. We've got the brown on the front of the building. It's a horrendously ugly building, this one. It really is. I mean, what the main entrance to the aquarium is meant to be like these little rubbish doors at the front there. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. We might actually do a little bit of bump work on this to make this a bit grander. Let's give it a go. So we'll go to Bob. We're going to find these benches. I'm going to remove them. And we've also got these uplighters. Let's go to all individual props. Let's find... yeah, this one. I think what we are going to do is... yeah, so let's actually raise it a little bit higher. We'll find the other ones that are down here and do exactly the same. Like that. And then what we can do is add in some of our little prop doors to this instead. So let's have a little look at what we've got for this. We've got these ones. I think they're the sort of biggest, grandest ones, aren't they? Yeah, so let's add in a couple of these to the front here. So maybe just two like that. At least that looks a little bit more main entrancey, right? And we could probably lower back down those floodlights actually because they're a little bit high. And I think what we will do with those is let's just very gradually sink them back in. We'll keep them out a little bit, but not quite so far. Okay. Yeah, there we go. We got a slightly grander entrance to our aquarium. I really just didn't like that much. But there we go. So what we will do now is surround this with little car parks as well. And we're going to use the more rundown looking car park, I think, for this. Yeah, just to give it a slightly more oldie, worldy, been here a long time look, which is exactly what we want for this. I'm going to bring that out quite a long way, and then we will do is use actually the biggest one down this side. Draw in a really nice big car parking space, and that has not linked in there, so let's pull that back. Okay, so we've got our parking and we've got a nice little disabled here, and I've no idea why that one has turned green. I need to investigate that in just a second. A little bit of parking strip out the back. We'll do some detailing obviously around this to protect from the rail line. And lots of more kind of worn decals and stuff like that on the roads around this. But yeah, that gives us our aquarium here, which hopefully looks a little bit run down. It's a shame I can't make the red any less bright, but yeah, kind of pleased with how that sits in. Okay, so the next thing we are going to look at is placing in our big construction site. So for this, I could have gone really overboard with tons and tons of props in here. But I don't think it kind of gave me the right effect that I really, really wanted without going completely insane with the props. What we're actually going to do is use a couple of assets from the workshop for this. So I am just going to bring this road round in a little bit of a curve like this. Down onto this bottom level, and that has not worked at all, so let's just make sure that that is actually at the terrain height, and then we'll do a nice little bit of sloping on this, and I'll definitely change up these road types for this because this does not look sort of under construction by any means. So let's bring this road out, and I think actually we will just go straight ahead and use the concrete road for this section here. We're going to go ahead and bring that straight out along the waterfront like so. So the assets that I am going to be using are these big construction sites from PR and the workshop. So they're pretty cool. There will be a link in the description below to them so you can go and check them out for yourselves. Yeah, we've got this one with sort of high tower, and then we've got a slightly lower one. So I want to mix and match these on the different levels here. I'm thinking this one will go in quite nicely here, although we've not left almost... Yeah, we need a tiny bit more room for that. So let's grab all of our nodes along here, and we're just going to drag this road back just a little bit. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So yeah, we're going to add these in. Now these are kind of modular. So we've got this one. We then also have a middle segment, which I think is this one. Yes. And then we can add on an end segment this side as well. But yeah, this is what we are looking at. And these assets are... just marvellous. I mean, look at this. You've got almost like a multi-storey car park. Could be a shopping centre. You've got the tower coming in here. But I think once we add some cranes and some more extra detailing around this, this is going to look really nice in front of that old kind of rundown aquarium. And obviously with more construction, like some construction condos, etc. up the top there, these assets are going to sit in really nicely. And of course, because it is me, we will be doing lots of prop detailing around this. So I'm going to be doing a whole like prop detail construction yard here where it's, you know, this is slightly further along, or a lot further along, and this is very much in the kind of beginning stages. That's what we're going to be going for over there. On this top layer as well, we can add in another one of these. So I'm thinking this smaller one, which we haven't used, along with this side of it, could be quite nice here. Some different depths and layers of height going on, which is something that you just can't achieve with props, which is really why I wanted to use these. So yeah, quite happy I think with how that's going to look. What we do also have are these construction networks as well, which I absolutely love. It looks like it's like a metro station under construction. So I definitely want to incorporate these in here. And how I'm thinking is that I'm going to kind of assume that they're going to put in some kind of large plaza or something like that around it. So we'll leave that bit there, and we'll put in some of these networks like this. So I'm actually going to just make sure that this is all the same height here. But these are really super cool as well. I'm going to make sure it's all same distance as our construction site there too. And we probably do just need to terraform this back a little bit so we've got those layers nicely, and we'll get in some keys etc in just a second as well. I think what we will do here is give this a little bit more breathing room to the main construction site there, just like that. And we do also have one that is propless, so I also want to do this. We're going to mirror this one, but then actually I'm going to upgrade half of it, I think, to the construction bit. So it looks like it's almost a double metro station, but they haven't finished putting in the frame from this side. That's what I'd like to go for here. And there are various props that we can add on top of this. And the best ones, actually, if you go to bridge, and I'm just going to take vanilla bridges for this, actually, because they really are the best ones for this. You can find all of these different frames. So I'm thinking what we could have here is a frame almost over this, as if they're starting to build up a building. We do need to place these roadside just to get them in. Then we can move them however we want. So we could sink this in as well if we turn on prop snapping there. Stick this down so it's not floating on the ground. But we could start to make it look slightly different with elements such as these. So yeah, I'm quite excited by the thought of all of this prop detailing that we can add into this area. Yeah, let's definitely put this one in. I'll sink that down. I'm thinking something like that. And then we could put in some archways potentially, or some bigger pillars on this side. So let's have a couple of those actually. Spin those round. And we can start to form what looks like almost the start of a building or a bit of a tower over this particular side of the metro station. That's what I'm thinking. And then next to it I'm envisaging that they'll probably put in some kind of large transport hub plaza or something like that. So we'll do some dirty decals and lots of props and the such like around this. Get some of our building sims in as well, importantly. Full on action around our construction site here. Yeah, I think this is going to start to look pretty cool. What I would like to do is add in some condo construction development up here. So we need to extend this land out a little bit further here. Let's pull this up to this road this side like that. And let's just grab in again. We're just using vanilla roads for a second, then we'll change it up to the roads that we want afterwards. So let's just grab in a nice road like that. So with this, I'm thinking what I'm going to do is actually mix different types of keys together. So this bit can be a nice finished key around where the aquarium is, because I think that's appropriate. That building's obviously been in here for a reasonably long time. So we'll go for that. Snap this into the road guideline here. Like that, and it's not super straight, so let's just grab this node and we can shift this up a little bit. We've got a middle node in there to contend with. Yeah, that's a little bit nicer. And then what we can do is actually use the vanilla key on this second half to make it look like part of the key hasn't actually been finished, like they're sort of extending it out this way and they haven't finished it yet. Of course, they don't join nicely, so let's use a little bit of node control on here to turn that into a middle, so that joins nicely there. And then we'll just want to push this terrain back up against the key and just finish it off really smoothly and nicely. So yeah, something like that I feel like looks alright. This is a little bit wonky here, so we want to obviously make sure that our key nodes are the same height as our road. That's a lot better. And we need to do that the same all the way around. Yeah, there we go, that's nice and smooth. And then again, I am going to use some assets for this because it's very difficult to get half constructed buildings from some of the vanilla assets, but these condos here look like, yeah, pretty cool. They obviously need an awful lot of detailing around them, like cranes and the such like, but I think what we're going to do is do a whole development of these style of buildings, some which haven't been built at all yet, so some which are very early in development, maybe some plots of land with nothing on them, and then a couple like this, which is slowly starting to get built up. And we could even do some finished condos at this end here by using some of the Hearts of Korea buildings. So there's one asset, this one, that sort of looks not too dissimilar to the style of building that they're building up there. Let's pop in a couple of those and we can remember to arrange those nicely. What we do want to do is draw in roads in here as well. And we might do a little bit of road construction like I did on the ILOS collab. So yeah, we can see how that goes when we come to the detailing. That's the general idea for that back corner there. Again, we'll have lots and lots of cranes and tower cranes and the such like all around here, so that's really going to add to the look of this sort of skyline of this area. And particularly when we look out over the port and the nuclear power plant, maybe a little bit close to that for a big kind of commercial centre, but we'll see. So then over in this area here, I do want to do a kind of much more prop hand-built construction site area here. And one little thing that I would like to incorporate into this is a little bit of canals. Like, I know this sounds super, super odd, but I'm just going to, I think we'll do it up here actually. I'm just going to put in the tiniest piece of canal like that. I'm going to use a little bit of node controller and we're going to make it slightly narrower. We're actually going to do it to 50% on a stretch basis, just to make it a little bit of a smaller pit here. And then I do have an interesting prop which has come with some of these construction sites, which is a stairway down into construction area. So I think this one might work as well, a little ladder down. But where is it? This one. Yes, I think this is going to work really, really nicely here. So it looks like they're working on something. I don't know exactly what, but definitely working on something down in here. Unfortunately, it doesn't reach the bottom of the canal, and to be honest, it's pretty deep anyway. So let's actually go ahead and use some ploppable pavement in here. So we will need to use 2 of those. Let's actually just make this slightly smaller, and that's going to make it easier for us. It doesn't need to be that big. It's just a little bit of extra funky detailing using some of our vanilla assets. So yeah, we can get away actually with one of them here. So let's grab that. And we'll just drop it down to the bottom of this stairwell here. Could actually even make it just a little bit shallower if we wanted to. That could be an interesting step down, but I think we will go all the way down to the bottom here. So just like that. And then within that we can add props down the bottom like they're working on something. I'm thinking like lots of pipes. That's what I'm going to be adding in here. So let's have a little look at that. We also have this prop actually, which would work really, really nicely. There's a bit of extra detail in this area like that. Got some big frames, some big pillars. That would work lovely in here as well, like that. We could add 2 sets of those in as well, actually. May not be a bad shout. Can we add any frame tops to this? Yeah, so we should actually be able to add this in. So let's just put that in there. Let's see if we can grab this. This might be tricky. Yeah, we can lift this up actually. We can do our own detailing with this. If we lift it up to there, actually looks like it's sort of within inside this structure here. So it definitely looks like they're working on something there. We can do things like that anyway. And we can also use the bridge pieces that we used over the little sunken metro bit over there to create some sort of part-built buildings. But this area in general is just going to be an awful lot of props. And one other thing I definitely want to use in here is actually the trench, because this very much looks like they're laying water pipes or something under the road. So I like, yeah, really like this effect. So we'll definitely have some trenches in here as well. So because there is an awful lot of detailing to do in this episode, we are going to have an absolutely mammoth detailing time lapse right now. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into it, and we'll be right back to have a look at the finished product. Okay, so that really was an epic time lapse. I'm not sure how much I'll cut it down for the actual video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. But let's just go through. So I mean, down here we have added in tons of little areas like this with lots of piles of junk. I was looking at construction sites and there were an awful lot of rubbish, and I actually probably haven't put enough rubbish in here, but we have got little bits here and there piled around. I have tried to block off the cranes with some cones and some other barriers in various places. Got a little place for the staff to eat down here in the burger van. A couple of staff waiting for their lunch there. We've got a few of these foreman's offices which come from the workshop as well lying around, and just generally equipment and forklifts and everything like that they might need. I've added cranes as well to these sites, like say with this one up the back, because they were missing the asset when you get that from the workshop, so I've just added my own. And then down here I've added in a few more props actually, like part of the props that come with this like sunken construction site asset here, which I thought made quite a nice effect, like they're sort of part building up the frame on this side and then building out this building. Added a little bit of prefab wall there to show how they're building up amongst the frame. And then yeah, again, just lots of construction props. Obviously block this off with cones to make sure people aren't just driving up there. Got lots of barriers around the cranes here where we've got lorries coming in and out. We've got a car parked in the middle. I will bob that off before the end. A car parked in the middle of our pipes there. That's just marvellous. But yeah, tons and tons of decals around the whole thing. I've actually tried to keep a fair amount of open space. Like there is lots of equipment backed up, but I wanted to keep it relatively open. Because I know with big cranes and big machinery like this, they're going to need space to move. And then the same goes for down here. Lots and lots of open space. We've obviously got our little prop sims in all over the place. This guy just directing this lorry in. A few stood outside the office like, what are we doing next? Waiting for the guy in the walkie-talkie. That's what I'm imagining there. And then we've got like some sort of part-built buildings over this side. So I've used some of the prefab elements on the floor here with this metal framing that we used in the movie studio. And yeah, again, just sims and bits of trash and storage lorries, like yeah, cement bags lying around, lots of different things. Again, another sort of part-built building over here with a little office. And then we come up in between the quays. I did decide to do a little slope down because I'm really loving how these tracks look throughout these construction areas, especially with all the decals over it. I think it blends in quite nicely. And then this comes down into our little area here where, yeah, you saw me put in some of those props, those sunken underground props into there already. We've just got a few cranes overhead to help with that. And then with the trenches, we have just laid some pipes down in it. And yeah, obviously used this. Although my pipe, I did put a pipe in that crane. So if it was literally live lifting a pipe in it, but it seems to have disappeared. So we'll have to fix that. But yeah, it's pretty simple like that. We've just got a little staff entranceway again. A few prop sims here and there just to add a little bit of life to it. But very dirty indeed. And then we go up to the condo area at the back here. And I've actually made all of this the dark tarmac parking lot road. Because I thought it looked like it was very newly laid road, so I was kind of happy with that. And then we've got these condos over here which are all finished, this development, with the parking around them here. Nice little modern brand new pool area in there, but yeah, very straightforward, that area. I haven't really done too much to it, because obviously the focus with this episode was this massive construction site. Yeah, we've got some finished condos and then the part-built ones which I have fenced off, added little gates in here, and just a few props lying around with the cranes as well, which really, like, I'm absolutely loving these cranes. And the downtown in the background, it really adds such a very nice vibe to it. I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. And then we got just one condo, which is part built again down this end, so trying to look like it's going through different stages. And then around the aquarium, yeah, I couldn't fix that green parking space, so I have left it. Added in some puddles actually around here, which I thought made it look a little bit older. Some rank old picnic benches, which they've painted probably because they were so old and overgrown. That's what I'm going for. Then just some brick walling around it to protect from obviously the rail lines out the back here. But nothing much there. And then yeah, similarly just a few decals to rough this up, but actually not too much around this back entrance there. Then the final thing was this, which is a little bit random, but I have sunk the offshore ore mine grid into the ground here, which I quite like the look of. It looks a little bit industrial, but I thought it was quite a nice thing just to break up this bit of forestry between obviously our nuclear power plant and the car factory in the background there. So that's what we've done, and just used a bit of ploppable concrete to hide the tearing in the ground and this road around it. So yeah, it's a bit random. It's a little bit random, but just something extra for there. So yeah, really pleased with how this has come out with all the different layers of height as well from down here. Like, you can imagine once all these buildings are built up, this would be a really fancy, nice, keyed off area. Maybe not the best location for like a fancy mall. When you're looking out to the prison, the nuclear power plant, and the big industrial port there. We have got the park over this side, and yeah, I thought it was quite appropriate little space here. They're taking space away from the downtown and utilising it to make stuff for the tourists. That's what I'm imagining here. So that is all from me for today. If you have enjoyed this episode, likes, comments and shares are, as always, really, really appreciated and help me to grow as a channel. I would love to hear your name suggestions for this area in the comments, so do please leave some suggestions for our construction waterfront. Let me know what you would like it to be called and we will name it on a future episode. But that is all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.